Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive? We're going to explore Advantage Assam 2.0. And before you tune out thinking it's just another business thing, trust me, this is way cooler than it sounds.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case study.
It's this big investment summit happening right now, like right now in Assam, India, February 25th and 26th. And we've been digging through government reports and economic analyses, news articles, you name it. What's really got us hooked is that Assam is like making this huge push to become a major economic player. And they're going for this really surprising mix of industries, high-tech stuff, but also ancient crafts.
It's true, and there's a lot of buzz around it. People often think of Assam as a remote area, kind of underdeveloped.
Yeah.
But that whole perception is starting to change. The data tells a totally different story.
Okay, so let's get into that data. What kind of numbers are we talking about? What makes you say it's not underdeveloped?
Well, for starters, Assam has the biggest economy in all of Northeast India. Their gross state domestic product, GSDP, is supposed to hit like 6.4 trillion rupees this year. That's a crazy 13% growth over last year.
Okay, gotta admit, I get lost with the economics jargon sometimes. Break down GSDP for me. What does that actually tell us about Assam?
It basically measures the state's economic output, kind of like how GDP measures the national economy. So 13% growth in GSDP means Assam's economy is expanding super fast, which signals a ton of potential opportunities for investors.
I see.
And it's not just the GSDP. Per capita income is way up too,
Right.
like a 123% increase in just 5 years. That means that economic growth is actually benefiting the people living there.
Wow, 123% in 5 years. That's insane. Okay, I see why you're excited. But what's driving this boom? Is it just the tea industry? Assam's famous for that, right?
Tea is definitely a big part of it. Assam's the world's largest tea producer, and that industry is still going strong. But they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're getting smart and diversifying into all sorts of sectors. Things like aerospace and defense, renewable energy, even traditional crafts.
Aerospace and defense in Assam, that's not what I picture. It sounds like they're aiming high. Are they actually getting any serious investors in these new areas?
Totally. They've already locked in some big investments, like take the Tata Group. They're a huge Indian company. They're building a massive semiconductor project in Assam. It's a $3.3 billion investment.
Yeah.
That shows you that big players are starting to notice Assam's potential.
Okay, that's a serious commitment from Tata.
Yeah.
So they're not just talking about diversification, they're actually doing it. But let's break down these sectors a bit. Besides tea, what's happening in agriculture?
Well, Assam is super fertile, so besides tea, they grow a ton of stuff. Rice, jute, fruits, all kinds of things. The problem they have isn't growing this stuff, it's processing and storing it efficiently. That's where there's a huge opportunity for investors to come in and modernize things. That could really boost their agricultural output.
So it's less about planting more tea bushes and more about getting those products to market efficiently.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. Now, what about those amazing handicrafts Assam is known for? Those silks and bamboo crafts are incredible.
Absolutely. There's a big global market for those unique handmade items. But a lot of the artisans don't have the resources or the knowledge to market their product well or reach international buyers. That's a gap that investors could fill, and it would be really lucrative.
It's like they need a bridge between their tradition and global commerce. Speaking of connecting with the world, I gotta mention the incredible wildlife. Kaziranga National Park, with all those rhinos and elephants, it's amazing. Tourism must be doing well, right?
Yeah, tourism is big in Assam, and Kaziranga is a huge draw. But there's definitely room to grow. They could improve the infrastructure around the park to make a better experience. Imagine like ecotourism lodges near Kaziranga that are super nice but still environmentally friendly. That's where the real money is.
Sign me up for one of those eco lodges. Okay, so we've got tea, agriculture, handicrafts, tourism. You mentioned IT too. Is Assam getting into the tech game?
Yeah, believe it or not, the government's really pushing digitalization. They're building IT parks and investing a ton in training people to develop a skilled tech workforce. It's early stages, but there's definitely potential.
So from ancient crafts to cutting-edge tech, Assam seems to be covering all the bases. Interesting mix. But let's get back to this Advantage Assam 2.0 summit. Is it all just hype, politicians making promises, or is there something real behind it?
There's definitely some skepticism, and that's understandable. But here's the thing. This is the second Advantage Assam Summit. The first one was back in 2018, and that kind of laid the groundwork.
So they're building on something that already exists.
Exactly. This time they've got concrete plans, international partners, a clear strategy. But, and this is important, the whole thing hinges on execution and actually building investor confidence. Those are the things to watch.
Makes sense. Plans are one thing, actually doing it and getting people to invest is another, but it can't be all smooth sailing. What are some of the roadblocks they're facing?
Well, infrastructure is a big one. Roads, rail networks, power supply. All of that needs serious work to support these ambitious plans. And there's the skilled workforce issue. Assam has a young and growing population, but they need more training in specific areas to keep up with these new industries.
Right. Got to make sure the workforce has the skills to match the jobs that are being created.
Exactly.
That's a common problem in developing economies. What about that perception problem we talked about before? How do they change the image of Assam being remote and underdeveloped?
That's where the summit comes in. It's a chance to show the world the real Assam, vibrant, dynamic, forward-looking. They're highlighting success stories, attracting media attention, basically saying, hey, we're open for business and we're here to stay.
Like a PR campaign, but with substance. They're not just talking, they're actually taking action, and they have a clear vision. This is fascinating. We've covered a lot, but I'm eager to hear more. What else is happening at this summit?
Oh, there's a ton to unpack, from the specific sectors they're targeting to the types of partnerships they're building. And of course, we got to talk about the potential impact of all this on the people of Assam.
I'm all ears. This is shaping up to be a real deep dive.
One thing that's really interesting is the international attention this summit is getting. 7 countries are actually participating as partners. Bhutan, Japan, Australia, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and the UAE.
Wow, that's quite the lineup. What are they hoping to get out of these partnerships? Is it just about attracting investment?
It's more than just investment. It's about collaboration, opening doors for things like technology transfer, knowledge sharing, and yeah, of course, securing funding for those big projects we talked about.
So it's about building those relationships to make these plans actually happen. Are there any concrete results from the summit yet? Or is it mostly symbolic at this point?
Oh, no, it's definitely more than symbolic. They've actually got nearly 350 business meetings scheduled over these 2 days.
Wow, that's a lot of potential deals. They're not messing around. It seems like they've really stepped up their game since that first summit back in 2018. Is there anything different about the types of businesses or sectors represented this time?
Yeah, there's a much bigger emphasis on diversity this time. They're showcasing a wider range of sectors, everything from renewable energy and sustainable agriculture to aerospace technology and cutting-edge IT. It's a clear message that Assam's serious about diversifying its economy and setting itself up for long-term growth.
I'm starting to see why you called this a fascinating case study. It's exciting to see a region like reinventing itself in real time. You mentioned earlier that Assam's development plans are tied to national goals. Can you talk more about that? What are those goals and how does Assam fit in?
So India has this big vision they call Viksit Bharat at 2047. The goal is to transform India into a developed nation by its 100th year of independence.
Ah, so Assam's ambitions are part of a bigger national picture.
Exactly. And Assam's focus on things like renewable energy, sustainable tourism, and digital innovation aligns perfectly with India's goals of becoming greener, more self-reliant, and technologically advanced.
It's inspiring to see a region striving not just for economic growth, but doing it in a way that contributes to a broader national vision. But let's be real, there are going to be challenges along the way. We talked about infrastructure, the need for skilled workers, and the perception of Assam as remote. How are they planning to tackle those hurdles?
They're taking a multi-pronged approach. On the infrastructure front, they're investing heavily in improving roads and rail networks, upgrading power grids, and basically making it easier to connect with the rest of India and the world.
That's key. Infrastructure is the backbone of any strong economy. But what about developing a workforce with the skills to support these industries?
They're addressing that through education and training programs, specifically designed to meet the needs of these emerging sectors. They're working with universities, vocational schools, even international institutions to give their young people the skills they need to succeed.
So, creating a pipeline of talent to fuel these new industries. That makes sense. But how do you change people's perceptions of a place? You can't just erase those preconceived notions overnight.
You're right. It takes time and effort. Events like this summit are crucial for that. It's a chance to showcase the real Assam, the vibrant, dynamic, forward-looking side that people often miss. They're highlighting success stories, getting media attention, showing the world that Assam is a place worth investing in.
It's about changing the narrative, showing that Assam is a place to be. But let's not forget about the people who live there. How will all of this impact the lives of everyday people in Assam?
That's the most important question, right?
Yeah.
And the projections look good. They expect a lot of new jobs, particularly in high-growth areas like renewable energy and IT. This could lead to higher incomes, better living standards, just a better quality of life overall.
That's the kind of impact that really matters. But we have to acknowledge that development can have downsides, too. Things like environmental damage or social disruption. How is Assam addressing those concerns?
Those are valid concerns, and honestly, there are always criticisms and anxieties around rapid development. It's important to approach it responsibly and sustainably.
So it's not just about growth at any cost. It's about finding a balance between progress, protecting the environment, and taking care of people.
Exactly. And to Assam's credit, they seem to be aware of these potential issues. They're emphasizing sustainable practices, promoting ecotourism, and working to make sure everyone benefits from this economic growth.
It sounds like they're trying to learn from the mistakes of other places that have gone through rapid development without thinking about the long-term consequences.
That's right. They're taking a more holistic approach, recognizing that real progress involves more than just economic indicators. It's also about the well-being of the environment and the people.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And it's a journey that requires constant adaptation, collaboration, and a willingness to learn from both the good and the bad.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I've learned so much about a place I knew very little about before.
It's a region worth paying attention to. Assam has a lot to offer, and they're clearly determined to make their mark on the world.
I'm adding Assam to my travel list. Those rhino safaris sound incredible. But before we plan our vacations, let's bring it back to our listeners. What's the key takeaway here? Why should people care about what's happening in Assam?
I think there are a few things to take away from this. First, it reminds us that amazing stories of growth and innovation are happening all over the world, often in places we don't expect.
Assam definitely wasn't on my radar before this.
Right. Second, I think it shows the importance of strategic planning and execution. Assam has a vision, they know their strengths, and they're taking concrete steps to reach their goals.
It's not just talk, it's action.
And third, I think it highlights the power of collaboration. From international partnerships to local community involvement, Assam is using collective effort to drive its development.
It's a reminder that we can achieve so much more when we work together towards a shared goal. This has been a truly fascinating deep dive. I feel like we've just scratched the surface, but it's given us a lot to think about.
Yeah, it really does feel like Assam's on the verge of something big, like they're writing a whole new chapter.
And it's a story that goes way beyond Assam. It kind of speaks to all those places around the world that are trying to find their place, in this rapidly changing world.
It's about ambition and resilience and believing that even the most overlooked places can achieve amazing things if they have the vision and the drive.
Exactly. It's about challenging those old assumptions and creating new possibilities. Assam showing that economic progress doesn't have to come at the cost of the environment or social well-being.
That's a powerful message, especially these days when sustainability and inclusivity are so important. This deep dive has given us a lot to think about, but before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to chew on. What's the one question we want them to walk away with? Let's put them in the investor's shoes. Imagine you've heard everything about Assam, the potential, the challenges, the whole picture. Which sector would you bet on and why?
That's a good one. It really makes you think about the risks and the rewards. Would you go for the stability of the tea industry, the excitement of ecotourism, maybe take a gamble on the emerging tech scene, or something else entirely? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, jump into the comments, tag us on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Because Assam's story is just beginning, and it's a story worth following. Who knows? Maybe one of our listeners will be the next big investor to help shape Assam's future. The possibilities are really exciting.
That's what makes it so fascinating. Assam's like a microcosm of the changes happening globally, and their journey is only just getting started.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Advantage Assam 2.0. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.